in just about 15 minutes, but we are already getting an early picture of voter support in the closely watched mayoral race.
A CityCast DC poll of Democratic voters shows that Janice Lewis George is in the early lead, but that the race system could present a challenge to her campaign. We're talking about ranked choice voting here. Now we're joined now by CityCast DC host Mike Schaffer to help us understand these findings. Good morning to you, Mike. Thank you very much for speaking with us. So let's get it started and talk about how this ranked choice voting system will have an impact here, could have an impact.
Well, in DC now, when you vote, you pick your choice for candidate, but you also pick a second choice and a third choice and a fourth choice and a fifth choice. The idea is that in the old days, lots of candidates would win in one of these crowded races where you could get like 30% and still become the mayor or become the council member. They want to correct against that. So you get a second choice, you get a third choice. We found in our poll that Janice Lewis George was up by about 5 points over Kenyon McDuffie, but he was doing much better among people as a second choice and as a third choice. The idea is if since neither of them were above 50%, you have to get above 50%. In theory, he could make up some of the difference with second choice votes.
You know, I'm curious, did you see much of a difference in terms of mayoral candidate preferences between native Washingtonians versus maybe what we would call transplants?
Yeah, what we thought was really interesting in our poll was, in the old days in DC, people who talked about politics often thought of race as the great dividing line that could predict people's support. That's really not true anymore. Both of these candidates have pretty multiracial bases of support. But people new in Washington, people with a higher education, tend to be much more for Janice Lewis George than for Kenyon McDuffie. He is much more strongly supported by native Washingtonians, by people who've been here a long time. We even polled for this question of, are you a fan of the Commanders? Because I think that's a pretty good measure of like, are you a Washingtonian? And Commanders fans broke really strongly for McDuffie. Non-Commanders fans and non-football fans broke pretty strongly for Janice.
Oh, that's fascinating.
That's an interesting take on that. So what did the survey reveal about voter sentiment on key issues ahead of the primary?
Well, it's weird. The issue of teen curfews, which he has been very strongly for, and she has been very strongly against, the voters are overwhelmingly in favor of the teen curfews. On the other hand, voters were also willing to spend more on social services, even if it meant taxes, which is a position that is a lot more closely associated with her than with him.
It's interesting because the curfew is associated more with, Kenyon McDuffie. We've seen him support that. So that's fascinating to see the break in the polling on that. I wanted to ask, too, what percentage of voters headed into the primary essentially are undecided on candidates? Who do you think has the best chance, of harnessing those undecided votes, which can be so critical?
So our poll, which was a few weeks ago, found that, more than a quarter of people were undecided. And it's sort of anyone's guess who has a better chance of harnessing those. On the one hand, the issue that was really driving a lot of news in the last few weeks of the campaign, which is this teen curfews, is one that plays more strongly to his strengths. On the other hand, he seems to be really hitting crime, and I suspect it's because their polling shows that that's where where the undecideds are. So we'll see.
We know it's certainly, one of the topics that we've been talking about the most during this election cycle. CityCast DC host Mike Schaffer, thank you so much for the time, your insight, and the conversation. Appreciate it. Up to